Hey guys, welcome back to the next part of our series. Today we're going to be fixing the normal maps issue, or the normal map issue that we have here. And the first thing I need to make sure that you understand is the fact that these normal maps are actually caused by the fact that these things are really close together. And since they're really close together, things are projecting from one side to another. But there's sort of an easy way to do it. It requires a little bit of changes in Photoshop, but I'm sure you guys can handle it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select this map right here, the normal map. And actually we need to select here in textures, the normal map from my character. And I'm going to export the resource. Let's export it to our projects. So right here, let's do it in images. There we go. And now in Photoshop, I'm going to open that image. There we go. There we go. Oh. So this is going to be a big map because remember we did the baking for a 4K map. And what you're going to find is the following, especially here. These projections that you're seeing here, these are exactly what's causing the issue for those particular areas. Now, we won't be able to fix everything because as you can see, this is really messed up here in the inside. But these areas right here, we might be able to salvage. So let me show you how we're going to do it. I'm going to double click this image. I'm going to create one copy just to have one as a backup in case we mess something up. I'm going to go into my healing spot brush. I'm just going to go over there and we're going to let the magic of Photoshop work its, well, its magic. So the cool thing is Photoshop's going to try and fix this thing by utilizing the vertex and the information that it has around the particular elements. It might not be perfect, but it should be good enough to kind of fix the issue. See there? Now that's really close, right? Like it's not that bad. We will get a little bit of a weird shading here and there, but from what we had before, this is a huge improvement. So especially like these areas right here, those are really problematic. Okay, one of the tricks for the healing tool is try to go little by little, so that Photoshop kind of knows how to blend this kind of stuff together. For instance, here it's getting a little bit complicated. So what I'm going to do is instead of using that, I'm going to use the stamp brush, and I'm going to sample this area and just draw. Let's make this smaller, like because this area is clean. So if I just sample that area and do something like this, again, we might get a little bit of a weird shading here and there, but it should be closer like that. And then we can go again with the healing brush and try to patch this thing up. I'm not too worried because I do know that these things are hidden, but still the better resolution or results that we can have, the best. Now here, for instance, I know that this thing should be this blue hue, right? So again, what I could do is I could grab my brush directly, soft round should be the trick, and then just pretty much repaint the normal map to what I need in this particular scenario. Again, it's not gonna look perfect, but it's better than nothing. And the reason this happens, and the only way we could avoid it, is by actually, what's the word? By separating the color, having it as a separate geometry. However, if we want to avoid that, then this is the way to do it. Cool. So I'm expecting those weird lines and those weird lines to be gone. Same for that big thing and that big thing there, because now everything's a little bit better patched. We still get some weird looking things right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this neutral color, and I'll rather have no normal map there than that weird looking splotch. Cool, so I'm gonna save this thing. Let's save it as a JPEG, or sorry, PNG I think is better. Yeah, there we go, save. And the only downside of this, what's the word, of this process is that we need to redo the bakes, because otherwise it won't know that something changed. So what I'm gonna do here is I am gonna go into my projects. Let's select that image right there. Let's call this rename, and let's call this fixed. Oh, me and my dyslexia, sorry. fixed. There we go. And we're just gonna drop it here. We're gonna say, hey, you know what? This is gonna be a texture, and I want this to be on the project. So if we export the project or anything, we'll just grab this. I'm gonna grab this new normal map, and I'm gonna place it right here. And for that, let me change the channel so we see the normal map. There we go. So if we drop this guy right there, boom. So the normal issue is gone. We still got a mess right in there, but on the outside, that looks really, really good. However, those marks are still there. Why? Because those marks are actually obeying the ID maps and other stuff that we don't want it to actually obey. So we need to do a new bake. So I'm gonna pause the video real quick, or actually no, let me show you. I'm gonna bake mesh maps here. I'm gonna select the same high poly geometry, but I'm gonna say don't grab a normal map. Grab everything else but the normal map. And technically, since we already have this information, we should grab the ambient occlusion ID and everything from this thing without affecting the normal map. So I'm gonna pause the video real quick, do the bake, and I'll show you the result. Hey guys, so here's the baking going on, and I want you to see how this is the old ID that we have, and I'm beginning to think that the new ID that we're gonna bake might have the same issue. However, as you can see here, it's a little bit easier to see where the issue is. It's this blue channel from the color that's getting projected into the element. Yeah, so the same mistake is there. That's fine. I'm just gonna keep or let everything continue doing its thing. It's gonna take a while, but after this is done, I'm gonna just close this. Oh fuck. Cool, so we're back here, and let's now solve this weird issue right there. And it's actually not that weird. I know that this is coming from the leather, so I'm gonna go here into the leather, and directly on the mask, I'm gonna do a new paint layer, and I'm just gonna get rid of that. So we might have a little bit of, see that? Like a little bit of a bump there in light, because there's some extra information there that's not being caught properly. But it's better than what we had before. And one thing we could do, this is just a quick fix to be honest, but one thing that we can do is if we have like a final fill layer over here just with color, and let's make it a dark brown. You know what I mean? Like if we fill that with like a shadow, that should do it. And we're gonna do something similar later on when we do the final detailing for all the different pieces. But that's it. The only thing I want to add before I jump into the skin for the character is, well, actually in the next video we're gonna move all of this materials to the rest of the character, to the rest of the props, so the whole thing is ready. But before I do that, I'm not too, what's the word? Like I don't like the cloth, like this cape right here. It's too perfect for my opinion. So I'm gonna add a little bit of dirt. But again, I need to look for reference. So I'm gonna look for old canvas cloth. And I wanna see what kind of variation there is on the cloth itself. And yeah, so I think we can get this sort of like splashes and spots here and there. So let's go into my, let's make this smaller. Let's close the leather here in the cape. So in the cape, I'm gonna create a new layer, and I'm gonna use a brownish color. No height. Roughness, probably will need the roughness. Probably want this thing to be super rough. And I'm gonna use a black mask to hide everything. I'm gonna use a fill layer, and in this case, I don't wanna use a grunge because grunges are really, really aggressive. So I'm gonna look for some fiber kind of thing. And you can see we have this messy fibers 2, messy fibers 1, this just normal fibers. There's also, if we look for noise, there should be some noises that are a little bit less intense. For instance, this black and white spots 3, I like that one a little bit better, see? So we get a nice coverage of the whole thing. I might increase the scale a little bit to get some more interesting looking things. And this thing I'm gonna do a multiply as well, and just lower the whole the whole element. See, just that little bit of extra texture, I think it adds quite a bit of elements. However, I don't want this to be everywhere, and we can use a couple of tools here to make this pop a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a new generator, and let's do I think a curvature is fine. Let's try the curvature. And then let's play a little bit with the balance to know where it's gonna be, the contrast. So those are the areas that we're gonna have the dirt, and the only thing we need to do is multiply this. And now those areas that we saw are gonna be free of this element. We can of course reduce this a little bit, and now if we jump into the color, look at that. A lot nicer contrast that we have. So from this, where it looks super perfect and super clean, to this, where it looks a little bit more, you know, used and interesting. So here, just want to make sure that everything is covered. Oh, careful there. There we go. Even though that's going to be covered by the metal element. And look at that. That looks really, really good. I think we're nailing the whole concept. We're really, really close to this thing. Now, I do see that this belt buckle right here seems to be not made out of silver like the rest of the pieces. It seems a little bit more orangey. Same for the boots over here. So we might have to do a little bit of a change later on. It's either that or the lighting situation. Remember, if we were to go all the way here to what I mentioned before and go for like a sepia tone kind of thing, or a white balance, yeah. If we make this slightly browner, we'll hit the proper tone. So maybe it's just a lighting situation. I'm gonna keep it like this for now. Anyway, guys, how are we doing in time? Yeah, I'm gonna stop the video right here, and in the next one, we're gonna work on moving all of this really nice materials that we have to the rest of the pieces here, because we want everything to look very close together, right? So hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next video. Bye-bye.